Tottenham 1, Villarreal 0. Tottenham get 3 points to start the Champions League campaign, but it's not the most enticing of matches. Welcome into Top of the Perch. I am your host, as always, Nick Burt. It's great seeing Champions League football back under the lights of N17 in North London. A day filled with hope and optimism for Tottenham Hotspur does end with a good result, but the way we got there, a little bit questionable if we're honest. It always felt like it was going to be a difficult match just because it was the beginning of the Champions League season. Always when you get into a new competition, feels like you're going to have those, rough starts to the season. I mean, I remember last year when Tottenham opened up against Karabakh. I believe that game ended 1-0, if I'm not mistaken. And I know some things happened in that game. I know Dragishin got a red card in like the 5th or 6th minute of the game. And I pull up the results. It was 3-0, but they went up 1-0 into the half, and they were down a man for most of that game. There's always going to be adjustments to competitions. It's not like you're just going out and playing another league game. It does not work that way. I felt like it was always going to be a struggle for Tottenham tonight. I thought they had the better team. They were probably going to pull out the win, but I didn't think it was going to be an easy win whatsoever. I didn't see them blowing out Villarreal like 3-0, 4-1. I didn't see that. I thought it would be a 1-0 or 2-0 game. And this team was very much going to rely on the defensive back line for Tottenham to get control of this game, which evidently is what happened. I mean, Tottenham were very much on the front foot early on. Second minute, I know there was a good chance for Xavi Simons with a shot from just outside the box off a free kick from right around the halfway line by Vicario. The shot, it was just, it would have been an absolute belter of an opening for the Champions League season. Ball was just rising too much. It went above the bar. Get to the 4th minute. Lucas Bergvall on the attack throws a shot in from basically the top corner of the box. And it forces Luis Junior, the keeper for Villarreal, into a diving save. He doesn't get control of the ball. The ball deflects and just slowly tapers over the goal line, giving Tottenham the 1-0 lead 4 minutes into this match. It felt like it was going to be a lot more to come with shots, at least in this game, and shots on goal. Did not work out that way. This would be, I believe, the only shot on goal for both sides in this game. A absolutely horrendous mistake by the goalkeeper. Should have been, he had the ball, and it's just the way he was sitting kind of pushed it out of his hands, rolled into the back of the net. And like I said, it rolled. It was a slow roll into the back of the net, giving Tottenham the 1-0 lead. Past that, I don't really have much other highlights there. Villarreal had a few attacking opportunities, but they would either just be shots that went wide of the post, or they would be shut down by Van de Ven or Romero or basically anybody on that back line. And it never really felt like Villarreal had that attacking threat tonight, which is somewhat a positive for Tottenham, given tonight was not the best of games. I will definitely say the first half felt like Tottenham's half. Again, they probably had a few more opportunities where it could have been 2-0. You got to just play that game. It is what it is. And then the second half, it was a poorly played second half from Tottenham Hotspur. Kind of looked like everybody was just a bit gassed out there. it seemed like it was just a bit of a struggle. It seemed like Villarreal was starting to, break down this Tottenham back line. And luckily, the line stood tall, didn't get substitutions until I believe the 69th minute, which is something that probably should have happened 5 to 10 minutes before that, but it ends up not being detrimental. All good there. Tottenham, it basically, once those substitutions really started rolling in the second half, it felt like more of the changes were for defensively to keep this a 1-0 lead than it was to go for the attack and try to get more, which makes sense the way they were playing. I know we got a debut from Ranal Kolomulani. That is going to be legacy number 899 for Tottenham Hotspur, meaning one more to 900. We'll be very interested to see who that number 900 is. I'm wondering if we're going to see it next Tuesday with an academy player in the Carabao Cup against Doncaster Rovers. Will it be Koto Takai, even though I don't think he's been in training since what feels like July? I don't know if he's real. I know he's real, but doesn't feel like it. The reffing in this game, kind of atrocious on both sides. Tottenham had 2 VAR reviews in the first half. The foul on Richarlison, which was the first one, kind of a toss-up. I thought it was at first. Other views, maybe not so much. The second was a handball right on the edge of the box. And it hit right about here. And this is what the position of the arm was. And, it clearly deflected. It's apparently not because it wasn't a penalty, whatever. Yellow cards were starting to get handed out like Tic Tacs in the mid part of the first half. It was a disaster. Xavi Simons was lucky to be on the field, honestly. I thought he got a yellow card in those Tic Tac fouls. And then later on in the second half, he did have what I thought was a yellow card tackle. Didn't get it. Not going to complain about that, obviously, because he obviously didn't get a red card and did not get suspended. It is what it is. Poor showing from the refs today. Like I said, on both sides, especially that mid to late part of the first half where it just felt like yellow cards are being handed out like pieces of gum. He lost control of the match. That's all it was. What else? Obviously, the TIFO today. Big ups to THFC flags and everybody involved in that, getting that done. That was absolutely incredible today. It was stunning. I personally think that's one of my favorites that they've done so far. I know they've done some really good ones. I hope that this is just a trend for all 4 Champions League group stage matches. I don't know if it will be, though. Obviously they didn't really do it for Europa League, except once we got to the knockouts, it felt like that became more of a thing. Obviously Champions League, that's more prestige. Hoping they do more of those because that was really incredible today. I know there was a lot of complaints about atmosphere because it's a Tuesday night. Tickets were overpriced. They were put at a Class B. Probably should have been Class C. I know Copenhagen and Sparta Prague are both Class Cs. And then I believe Dortmund is... I want to say Dortmund's a Class A. I could be wrong. It might be a Class B. I don't remember. Hoping, obviously, with the next 2 home matches in the Champions League being Class C, much better environment. I think they only said 53,000 today, something about that. So there were a decent amount of empty seats, especially in the upper bowl. Overall, obviously, 3 points is 3 points in this new Champions League format. And I say new, it's been around for a year now. So overall, acceptable night for Tottenham Hotspur as they claim the first 3 points of this Champions League season. Let's take a look at the player ratings for tonight because it's kind of really spread out all around the board for this one. Start up at the top, of course. Xavi Simons, 7-4 today. He picked up that one yellow card like I mentioned. Again, I probably should have got a second, but not going to complain because that's not what I do here. I don't think it's working with him on the left. I know we need a left winger and we didn't sign one, and we're kind of expecting him to be one. I don't think he's got to work up the middle. I think he really will excel down the middle. I think throwing him on the left, it's just, I don't think he's getting his full potential on the left. Not saying he's terrible, but, I mean, Tottenham definitely, if they are making any signings in January, and obviously injuries, we know they're going to come, could play a major role in that, but come January, a left winger needs to be signed, no matter what. Do not spare an expense. I know it's much more difficult to buy in January than it is this summer. No expense unturned. We need a left winger because this is just insane. Richarlison was up the middle today as the main striker, 6'8". I just felt like the ball truly really wasn't getting to him tonight. He would have been there on the goal had Junior not been there. I know he was sliding in behind. He would have been there to deflect it, and obviously he had a few other of those in this game that he just didn't get a hold of. So, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Mohamed Kudus, boy oh boy, changed my life. What a player. 7-6 on the day. He was another one where it was what it was. He just felt like he wasn't getting the ball as much, but when he did, boy oh boy, did he make a scene. I thought he had a very, very good performance today. Pop Sarr, he was one of the ones that coming into the second half, he kind of just, I think he looked gassed. It was looking like it was getting close to the end for him, running out of fuel, even though he's such a star player. 7-2. Rodrigo Bentancur played that central midfield position today. 7-7. I thought he did really well today. Is part of that because he didn't play on the weekend? Possibly. And, he's fully rested. It's very good potential there. I thought he still did very well today. For the second time this season and second time in a row, Lucas Bergvall is the man of the match. What a star player he is. In his Champions League debut, I mean, he didn't get the goal, obviously, but he made the goal happen. He was bossing that midfield. He was making some really, really good plays. Just getting the ball up and into, actually attacking options, which is something Tottenham aren't really used to. But he is a top player. You can see he may be one of the better young kids coming up in the game right now. Back line, no changes from, I don't think, any game this year outside of the Super Cup. Still a back four, still Spence, Van de Ven, Romero, and Porro, left to right. Jed Spence is 7-5 today. He was another one, just thought he was kind of getting gassed at the end. Got subbed off. We're all good. Mickey Van de Ven, he had a real good shout of being player of the game today. Or man of the match, whatever you want to call it. I thought he put in a outstanding performance today. One of the better we've seen from him so far this season. I thought he was the better of the two central defenders as Romero gets the 7-7. I thought both of them had very good games today. Obviously, like I said, I thought Villarreal was going to end up breaking down this side. They don't. All good. Keep it moving. Pedro Porro had a decent game today, 7-6. Vicario, 7-4. He didn't really have any shots to face today. Is what it is. Let's take a look at the subs. Destiny Udogie and Joao Palhinha came on in the 69th minute, and that was for Jed Spence and Popsar, like was mentioned. Destiny Udogie, a great performance today. That very good off the bench for, a 25-minute cameo, including stoppage time. Thought he did really well today, 7-2. Joao Palhinha, a 6-6. Brent Johnson and Kolo Muani came on in the 77th minute. That was for Xavi Simons and Richarlison. Again, they 6-3 and 6-2. I thought that was fair enough. By the time they got subbed on, Tottenham really weren't chasing another goal, so they weren't really out there to do attacking things. It was more just kind of keep the lead. And Kevin Donzo got subbed on right at the beginning of the second half stoppage time for Lucas Bergvall, and that was basically just to lock down the back line. Obviously, no grade there. Thomas Frank gets an 8 for his first ever, European game coached. I know it's Champions League. I know he hasn't with Brentford. I don't know prior to that if he has managed any European competitions. We'll just leave it at that. He gets an 8. I thought he did really well with the lineup today. I know there wasn't a ton of rotation from what we saw on Saturday, but still, I think we were good enough that, obviously walk out with a 1-0 victory. That's all you need. So for Tottenham Hotspur, that is one game down in the Champions League, back to league play on Saturday, travel down to the South Coast to take on Brighton. So that is going to wrap it up for this first episode of Champions League edition of Top of the Perch. Thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across this video, click like, click subscribe, tell anybody you know about it. We'll be back Saturday to recap that Brighton game here on the Nick Bird Sportsman Network. So thank you so much for watching. We will see you again soon for another episode of Top of the Perch.